What is going on, people of YouTube? My name is Kurtyoy and welcome back to a brand new episode, and we're into Game Week 2 now of Kurtyoy's FPLT. That's Fantasy Premier League tips, just a bit shortened, a bit snazzier and a bit cooler. We're back here for Game Week 2. It's going to be the first episode where we look back at previous results, because obviously last time we did it, last week, we couldn't look back at any results because Game Week 38 was a long time ago. Things changed, different teams are up, different teams have gone down. We did look at pre-season. We were looking in depth at some of the big games, some of the big talking points. We've got a new segment coming in today called Don't Panic, so I realise it could be something, could be really good. We've also got the comment of the week, we've got the reviews, the previews, your captains, your differentials, my team. We look at the top scorers from the league. One person smashed it out of the park this week, and we end on an ending note, which hopefully give you a bit of a tip, and we'll give you guys something to ponder for this upcoming game. We've got lots to talk about. We are going to head straight into the results and see where the big talking points led us to this weekend. Well, obviously the league started on Friday this year, and it was a massive game, and a game which gave us hope for the rest of the season. 7-goal thriller between Arsenal and Leicester ended 4-3 to Arsenal. They're on the right end of a 4-3 result at the start of this season. We had an early kick-off, Watford versus Liverpool, 3-3. I predicted goals in that one. It's not that many goals. We also had a loss for Chelsea after we went down to 9 men. Huddersfield, the new boys, smashing Crystal Palace 3-0. And in the Sunday game as well, Spurs looked okay, but again, Shelby didn't really help things for Newcastle. And Man United blew away West Ham to start the end of the Game Week 1 and go into Game Week 2. Top of the table is Huddersfield in a close second. But the big talking point for me you've got to look at is Chelsea's defeat. What went wrong for Chelsea? A lot did, and I feel like there's blame being chucked everywhere, at the players, at the officials, at the manager, at the the transfer committee, whatever you may call it, at Chelsea. They didn't look good at first half an hour, first 45 minutes, first hour. They didn't look good. Great chances, they got 2 goals. They weren't the Chelsea of last season. Now, obviously, in the first 14 minutes, Gary Cahill got a straight red card, which means he's out for the next 3 games. The captain is gone. The captain's armband now falls to Azpilicueta, I believe. But not only that, for the next game against Spurs, Gary Cahill's going to be missing, as too is Cesc Fabregas. Throws into question, what can Chelsea do in the next game week? Well, what I predict generally is not many changes. Moses was suspended for this game, so I think he'll come in the right wing back slot, and Azpilicueta will slot inside with David Luiz and Rudiger completing the defence, with Alonso obviously on the left, Kurtyoy in goal. I'm assuming, hopefully, for Chelsea's sake, Bakayogo's fit, and Kante and Bakayogo will sit in the defence. With hopefully maybe Jeremy Boga there, Willian, maybe Pedro, I'm not sure what his situation is, maybe even Morata, but once he came on, he made a pretty good impact coming on. But we went down to 10 men. Were the goals avoidable? They most certainly were. Chelsea were poor when it came to the aerial play. Ward was a good finish, to be fair. 2 of Vokes' goal could have been avoided. The only thing I would say is that, yes, realistically, the 10 men of those goals didn't really affect it. They would have a player maybe closing them down. They would have an extra player to sort of make sure those balls didn't go in. So it could have changed the entire game. But question marks over Chelsea's defending indeed. Not too much to worry about, though. It is a blip. Like I say, it's not often you go down to 9 men. If they had done so every single game this season, they'd be in trouble. But for now, it's one game. It's a major blip. But I'm assuming they'll improve throughout the season. Of course, then we can go to Friday. Arsenal 4, Leicester 3. Arsenal could get top 4. Leicester could be pushing for Europe. But both, to me, need a bit of improvement. Granted, I think everyone's overreacting when it comes to Arsenal not getting top 4. You look at the back 3 they played, the 3 centre-backs. There was an unexperienced Rob Holding. There was a left-back Monreal and a left-back Kolasinac. Now that for me is interesting. Of course, of injuries, they had Mustafi on the bench. I'm assuming, hopefully, for Arsenal's sake, next game he can come in, sort of get that central role in the defence. Monreal pushes a bit wider, as too does Kolasinac, and gets that sort of left wing back role. But goals came from everywhere for Arsenal. Substitutes of Giroud and Ramsey came on and took the game by the scruff of the neck and ended up winning it for free. Lacazette got a goal on his debut. He looked really good and really sharp as well. Welbeck also got a goal. 2 assists for Xhaka, which is something that has made him one of the first people to get price rise, along with Hegazi of West Brom after his goal heroics in their 1-0 win, basically winning the game for him. Xhaka is interesting. It's something that I've been saying a lot through pre-season, is that once they switched to the new formation, Xhaka looked a lot better going forward. He calmed himself down, the yellow and red cards were gone, and he's improved that and got there this season as well. 2 assists start off this season. Will there be an increase? Well, they've got a few tough games, so maybe that might slow down, but he's £5.6 million. He's away into the Arsenal midfield. I think he is a preferred choice of Arsene Wenger, as Ramsey was on the bench. For me, I can see him really doing well this season. 2 assists, and people are saying, maybe, but maybe not. I think, yes, he could go dreadfully wrong and could maybe not even get another assist this entire season. But I'd say, look into it. He's definitely one to consider. What other results do we have this week? Well, of course, Watford 3, Liverpool 3, to give you a brief run through of all the results. Poor from Liverpool in their set plays. Watford, leaky as ever. Both have a lot of jobs to do to make sure their defence are better the next time they meet later on in the season. Chelsea, of course, losing. Big talking point there. Can they still win the Premier League? It's one major blip, but you know, they can still improve. It's one game. Doesn't spell the disaster for the rest of the season. Huddersfield beating Palace 3-0. Relatively solid looking Palace side for a lot of people, including myself. I saw them getting a draw, not 3 points, which spells, questions. Are Huddersfield a lot better than we are considering? Or is it just one game, like maybe the hype of the whole occasion got to them, and are Palace a lot weaker than we thought? It's another thing we need to look at. Everton, of course, winning 1-0 against Stoke. A goal on his return, second debut for Wayne Rooney, and a goal to win the game. 0-0 between the Swans and the Saints. Relatively poor game. Let's drift over that one. Of course, Higazi, I spoke about him getting the 1 goal to beat Bournemouth at the start of the season. I'm pretty sure West Brom started off last season with a 1-0 win as well. And of course, we end off Brighton, Man City at the Saturday games. Man City, yeah, they could have done better. Maybe a subject of Don't Panic Later. They won 2-0, and it's a win I think we all saw them guessing at the end of the day. But let's have a more in-depth look at some of the better performers and the top point scorers from this week, starting off with the goalkeepers. You've got Lossell, Lloris and Forster getting 9, 7 and 7 respectively. Lloris is someone I could always see getting a clean sheet. Or 2 this season. He's been one of the better goalkeepers in the league. I did see Newcastle doing something. Of course, the red card to Shelvey removed that, but Newcastle still looks pretty good going forward. Atsu causing problems, Gale looking lively, Richie as well, so there's still hope for them yet. Lossell in the goal though at Huddersfield getting 9 points as their 3-0 win. Really set home a sort of thing to say, we aren't here just to make up the numbers, we are here to make sure we do everything in course to get the survival that we also crave. We've also got Ben Foster, West Brom, getting 7 points, of course. You can see that coming. He's a good goalkeeper. Relatively solid teams, but overshadowed by someone we're going to go on to in the defence in a second. And of all the goalkeepers, we had a lot of clean sheets. Has 8 clean sheets this game week. I've chosen Fraser Forster in there because he's got 6 points. Southampton looks solid at the back. I feel like the games they've got coming up could be a lot more clean sheets where that came from. Maybe even doubling up on the defenders, even this point in the season, could be good. Maybe Cedric and Bertrand looking really good in there for me. Moving on to the defence, you've got Higazi, 4.6 million now, 15 points. Davies at 14 points. Zanka of Huddersfield at 10 points. Fernandes at 9, Bertrand at 8, and Otamendi at 8. Starting off with Higazi, massive risk people took on bringing him in, and it's reaped rewards. I don't think anyone expected him to score, but people that put him in there just for the short-term game whilst Evans and McCauley were out, well, 15 points, laughing their heads off. And he is one of the top point scorers this game. In fact, he is the highest point scorer of game week 1. Sets it in a bit. Just 1 point behind him was Ben Davies, who had a really good game week, got a clean sheet. Unfortunately, got a yellow card, which meant he couldn't go level with Higazi, but picks up a good goal as well for Tottenham as they ran out 2-0 winners against a 10-man Newcastle side. Of course, Zanka as well, 10 points. An assist for him in their 3-0 win over Palace. Also had Fernandes get 9 as Swansea drew 0-0 with Southampton. Bertrand on 8, Otamendi on 8 as well. They all look really good, and I think generally some good defenders out there for the start of the season for once. Moving on to midfielders, we start off with another Spurs player in there at the top, and it's not Dele Alli. And of course, Kane didn't score, he blanked. It's Christian Eriksen. The last minute, I changed Ali to Eriksen, paid off. 12 points for him in this game week, 2 assists, looked really good, and I feel like he's only going to improve this season. Got a massive amount of assists last season. Only going to improve that this season, I said. 2 started already. So good start for him. He also had Salah on his debut, 11 points. He also got Mkhitaryan on 11 points. I touted him last week. We've also got Xhaka on 10, Martial on 10, Doucouré on 9. Some good picks in there. Xhaka, of course, 5.6 now. So some really good choices for you to keep your eyes on. Finally, in the attack, we saw some big point scorers, which at some points last season, we barely had enough to have 6 goal-scoring attackers. Really was poor, but we had Vokes on 13, Vardy on 13, Lukaku on 13, all grabbing 2 goals in their games. Mooney also grabbed 2, and he got 12. You also had Firmino, who grabbed 12 for his goal and assist in the Liverpool game, and Morata on 10, instant impact from the bench. Vokes, though, you got a question. It was against a 10-man / 9-man Chelsea side, though. All the goals, I'm pretty sure, were scored when they had 10 men. Vardy got 13 against a weakened Arsenal defence, but still, I think it's going to be big for those big games for this season for Leicester. You also got Lukaku, £11.5 million, gets you 13 points and a consistent goal scorer. Hopefully for Man United this season, he looks good in that game. Mooney, of course, a surprise package, but doing bits as Huddersfield would expect. Basically, you've brought him in. Sure, they would have seen that coming. Firmino also grabbed 12. Morata maybe putting his head in his bet, saying, you know what, you may not say I'm ready, but I think I'm ready to get this team rolling. Grabbed himself a goal and assist this game week and looks really good off the bench. But let's have a look at more in-depth knowledge of these players and how they did. Starting off with Higazi of West Brom, cost you 4.6 now, as he's gone up already, one of the first risers along with Xhaka. 15 points he got you, selected by 7.2% of people. As of recording this video, played 1 game, of course, 15 points, a goal, 3 bonus points and a clean sheet. Not much more you could say. There is one concern, obviously, he's only short term, although with more performances like that he could be more long term. But I do see him coming out of the team when Evans and Macaulay are both fit, unfortunately. You also have Ben Davies at Tottenham, who had a really good first game week as well, along with Higazi. He gave himself a goal, 2 bonus points and a clean sheet. The only difference is he got booked, so he's 1 point less on 14 points. And again, he's another person where the long-term future of him you don't know about. Had a really good start, but Danny Rose is still at the club. Didn't really do himself any favours with some of the comments he made recently. He could still be sold. If he does stay, you'd expect him, Davies to lose out to Rose. For now, Davies has got the first team spot. If he's already in your teams, I'd say you're more than welcome to keep him there because I think he's going to score big. Keeping with the theme of Spurs, we've got Christian Eriksen on 12 points. A really good game week. Assisted both of the goals for Ali and for Davies, and I think that's only the start of things to come. Eriksen looked really good, and in a game where just it didn't happen for Kane, chance after chance after chance, he could be the person to match. Now, granted, they have Chelsea next, but cast your minds back. I think the best player from both the games against Chelsea last season was Christian Eriksen. So if anyone's going to perform and get the massive goals they need or assists they need in this game for Tottenham, Christian Eriksen is probably going to be the man to do it. Mohamed Salah is also another one we need to take a closer look at for Liverpool. Gave himself 11 points, selected by 26% of people. Just the the 1 game played, obviously, as everyone has a game week 1. Got himself 11 points with 1 goal, 1 assist, 1 bonus point. Of course, not the clean sheet there. He shows attacking potential, of course. He got the assist for a penalty, got a tap in. That is worth noting that it was only an assist for a penalty and a tap in, but good movement. Looked sharp during the game. Looked to be causing problems just with the runs. So I feel like him, all the players around him, could be really good to have in your team. We're going to be taking a lot of looks at Mkhitaryan this game week, and of course he's back here again. Got himself 11 points, 2 assists. Which is something that I could see happening. And to be honest, I'm pretty sure I did say Mkhitaryan last game week. Got himself 2 bonus points as well. Of course, the clean sheet. Grabbed himself up to a nice, sturdy 11 points. If he's in your team, he's brilliant. Long-term potential could be brilliant. He looks in fine form. Not Mkhitaryan of last season, who's already doubled his amount of assists from last season, and he could be a really good bet for bringing into your teams. And finally, the attacker we're going to be looking at is Stevie Mooney. Huddersfield man, £6 million, grabbed himself 12 points 12 points this game week. 2.2% of people have selected him in their teams. Now, that is a fantastic amount, because if you bring him in now, or he's already in your teams, he could be set to rise dramatically. Whereas Lukaku is selected by just over 50% of people now. Mooney, 2.2% of people. You've got to look at it and think, well, push it forward, and he's going to get the points, price rise even more if he continues to score. And look at Huddersfield's fixtures; it's going to be really good. He looked good and sharp in the last game against Palace I think the world is his oyster, and he could be set to score quite a few goals this season. Now it's time for the new segment this week called Don't Panic, where we're going to be looking at players that potentially didn't do too well, and just say, don't panic, their time will come. Now I could do Kane, but that is going to be so talked about. We're going to look at 2 Manchester City players that didn't bring in any attacking returns this game week. That of course is Kevin De Bruyne and Gabriel Jesus. Now, starting off with things, I think they played decent. I think City, they created chances, of course, 14 shots to 6, according to WhoScored.com. And it's worth noting, in the game against Brighton, they were, the much better team. They almost had 80% possession in their 5 at the back formation. Of course, they had Danilo on the left-hand side. That could be set to be Mendy or even Rose in the long term. But shots-wise, they had 14 shots in total. Let's look at it. De Bruyne had 4, Jesus had 4. And that is very, important to remember, is that 8 of the 14 shots were from Jesus and De Bruyne. Jesus also hit the post during the game, so it brings into perspective that on another day, both of them could have had a couple of goals, a couple of assists, could have been a massive amount of goals. But alas, it wasn't. So we've got to look at it and think, on this day, it wasn't to be. But on another day, it could be them. You've got to look at the pass success rate, 80% for Jesus, 89% for De Bruyne. Jesus completed 2 dribbles in the game. As far as tackles concerned, he also grabbed himself a tackle as well. Wasn't dispossessed. Neither of them were dispossessed more than once. De Bruyne once, Jesus 0. So it's very important to note that 2-0 and they didn't score any attacking returns. Do not put them out. They will get more chances longer down the road. They play Everton at home this week. The home crowd hopefully cheering them on, all like 7 of them. To be sarcastic, that was a joke, but yeah, I feel like it's definitely going to be an improvement coming up for City, and I think it's only a matter of time before they start really hitting the road running. Time to have a look at who I suggest should be coming in for this game week. And before we do that though, we've got to look at the fixtures, and they are of which I will say Swansea play at home to Manchester United. We're looking at Bournemouth versus Watford, Burnley host West Brom. We've got Leicester versus Brighton, Liverpool versus Palace. We've got Southampton versus West Ham, Stoke versus Arsenal, Huddersfield face Newcastle in the first Sunday game. The second one is Spurs versus Chelsea, a big game there. And Monday Night Football returns with Man City versus Everton. Very, very interesting games. There's some games where you expect to be a walkover, some games to be very, very interesting. For me, I've got my scores set out. We're not going to go through each one as like last week, as a plane or helicopter or flying mobile goes over my house. But we are going to, ignore that and kick on. Swansea 1, Man United 3. I feel like it's going to be a relatively easy ride for Man United again. Not played the the toughest of teams so far, so I think maybe getting a bit ahead of steam. They could still falter, but look really good as West Ham. I think they will concede a goal. I feel like Swansea could at home provide a bit of a danger. Tammy Abraham using his pace, maybe Llorente coming back. Not sure what date he has on. Maybe even Sigurdsson. There's no word on him, but maybe even Sigurdsson returns to the thing. But I think even without Sigurdsson or Llorente, Swansea will do just enough to get a goal. Probably when Man United are 3-0 up. So yeah, mini prediction there. Just to note, I got no prediction bang on. I was 1 goal out for Man United and a few goals out for Man City. I think West Brom spot on in their 1-0 win. That's about it. About it really. Anything else was pretty poor. But Bournemouth going for 3-2 against Watford. It's a very interesting game that. I feel like Bournemouth attackers could finally be set to get some point returns in game week 2 after frustrating game week 1 against West Brom. Watford as well likes to score goals. I think it's, both teams like to score goals, but I think both teams are worrisome at the back, so could be a goal fest in that one. Burnley West Brom 0-0. I feel like Burnley will be cancelled out by West Brom. West Brom will be cancelled out by West Brom because they are quite the negative team. So I see that being one of the boring games of this game week. Leicester 2, Brighton 0. I feel like Brighton, they'll try, but I don't think they are going to be getting point returns against Leicester. Vardy's pace could prove to be vital. He might even get another double in that game with 2-0. Liverpool 4, Palace 2. Interesting. Very, very interesting. I feel like Liverpool will score a lot of goals, but Palace looked weak. They look worrisome. And I feel like it could fingers crossed, could get better for Palace and Frank de Boer, but it's looking really nervy then. But again, Liverpool's defence is worrisome, and with Christian Benteke, I feel like he will eat them up for breakfast, so they could still get a couple of goals, but still come out losers on the day. Southampton 2, West Ham 0. West Ham another disappointing game week against a rather sturdy Southampton back line, but no more than 2, maybe even 1 for Southampton, or even another 0-0 draw. It didn't look too good going forward in the previous game week. On the later kick-off, Stoke 0, Arsenal 2. I see Stoke not doing much in the attack. I don't really fancy them to do much this season, but Arsenal to grab 2 goals. Hopefully Mustafi back. Lacazette looked good, maybe a double for Lacazette. Moving on to Sunday, we've got Huddersfield versus Newcastle. 2-1, I see that being to Huddersfield. Now, John Shelby is sent off, had a few injuries in Newcastle, so, could that go into play? Maybe. But Huddersfield look really good, and I feel like they could be set to have a little bit of a Blackpool, where they start off quite well. Maybe they might not go down like Blackpool, but it's got the feelings about it, with a big home win, or a big win at the start of the season. And I feel like Huddersfield will have enough to come out on top against Newcastle. Of course, they played each other last season in the Championship. Tottenham vs Chelsea. See that being 1-1. Both teams looking to, not lose the game, so maybe a 1-1 draw could be the one. Morata scoring and Eriksen scoring 2. My 2 predictions for that. And Man City, I can see them coming out 2-1 winners against Everton. It'll be a tough team now, Everton. They've put a lot of money into their team. Hopefully, that can come out and look good. But the 1-0 win game week 1 makes you a bit wearisome about that. I feel like I could do well. A goal for Rooney to make it 2-2. I think Man City will have plenty enough to come out on top in that one. Now let's have a look at the players I think will do well this upcoming game week. We are going to start off with West Bromwich Albion keeper Ben Foster. We've also got Forster in there for Southampton, Heaton in there for Burnley, and De Gea in there for Man United. Now interesting, Burnley faced West Brom and both are in there, because I really can't see that being more than a 0-0. That's saying a lot about both teams. Even then, I think both are really good keepers for saves, so both will come into play at that time. You also got Forster in there for Southampton, £5 million, of course, home tie against West Ham. Feel like could be another clean sheet, 2-2 for them, looking really sturdy at the back at least for the start of the season. De Gea finally at 5.5 could be good. I've already said they could concede, but I feel like that is just a little bit of maybe could. My prediction. I've got to try and get my predictions right. But De Gea even then will make a few saves. I think like if you do get a clean sheet, 2-2, looking more like a clean sheet than a goal being conceded, which my prediction is already looking a bit wearisome. I've made it, so I'm sticking with it. But De Gea also could look really good anyway for the future. Man United's fixtures look good in these first few game weeks. Moving on to the defence, we have Francis of Bournemouth, Smith of Huddersfield, Bertrand of Southampton, Bailey of Man United, Kolasinac of Arsenal, and Walker of Manchester City. Now Francis at 4.5 is slightly injury prone at the moment, or slightly injured at the moment. He's got a 75% chance of making the next game, so worth bearing in mind. But he also got the fact of Daniels who come in to play, so I feel like Daniels would be the backup for this one, just to say it right now. But Bournemouth face off against Watford. For attacking returns, could be bombing down that right hand side, getting the points from there, and that's where I think Daniels could also come into play for the extra 0.5 of a million. Smith is one that maybe could go under the radar here, and if you look into wait for your latest and do your transfers, he got 0 points this game week because he got taken off at the 56th minute after getting a yellow card, which meant he didn't get a clean sheet and got a -1 for a -1, so he's ended up on 0. But under the radar. A lot of people think even played, so could be looking good. I think he's fit for the upcoming game as well. Bertrand as well at 5.5. Southampton look good if they're going to get any attacking returns. It could be through Bertrand, so one to keep your eye on. Bailey and Kolasinac at £6 million. Bailey looking good and nailed on for the centre of Man United's defence. And also Kolasinac looked really good going forward. Hopefully he can be pushed out to the left-hand side, left wing-back this game week. And he'll really reap the rewards if he's around there. I feel like it could be a wonderful signing, especially a free one for Arsenal too. And Walker at 6.5. Man City, attacking-wise, could be looking at him. He's a full-back, charging down the wings. Could be really good for them. Next up we have the midfielders. We're going to start off with my main man from last game week. It's Christian Eriksen. Tottenham, £9.5 million gets you a man who got 2 assists in the last game week, and he's done really well against Chelsea in the past. Could he be set to do that again? Mkhitaryan also, Man United, comes in again after last game week, doing really well. Man United, of course, face Swansea. I feel like could get a few goals there. Maybe another 2 assists from Mkhitaryan. Who knows? Kachunga comes in at £6 million. I think he could be one to look into this game week with Huddersfield facing against Newcastle. I feel like if Tommy Smith is fit, having them two link up as well could be really, really good. And just in general, Kurtyoy, I feel like it's only a matter of time before he gets himself on the score sheet. Got Ward-Prowse at £5.5 million, Southampton man, looking good on the right hand side. And I feel like if he does keep there, who knows, more attacking, a few assists, a few goals, could be looking good. And West Ham, not looking good at the back, are they? Not really. Fraser comes in at 5.5 as well. If he keeps his spot, he could be set for some point returns. Of course, Bournemouth face off against Watford, who conceded 3 goals against Liverpool in their 3-3 draw. So Fraser could be one to look into for this coming game week. And lastly, Mane at 9.5. Liverpool face off against Crystal Palace, a team that didn't look very good against Huddersfield. And I feel like Mane could really reap the rewards of that game week. Lastly, we've got the attackers, and I'm going to start off with Jamie Vardy at £8.5 million. Leicester face off against Brighton, a team that would did look good sitting back against Man City. Only conceded 2 goals against them. Could concede another 2 in this game week, and Vardy's pace will be a threat for any team this season. Firmino also 8.5. He's a penalty taker. Liverpool as well face off against a weak Crystal Palace team. He's a central player. Could be looking to get into a few good positions there. Maybe another penalty, maybe another assist, who knows, but I think Firmino looks good this season. Mooney as well, £6 million. I feel like he could be the one to trouble Newcastle with a bit of pace. Of course, they have Shelvey out, they have a few players that went off injured, so Mooney could be one to really dig into a half-broken Newcastle defence, albeit. Lukaku also comes in for a big money transfer at 12.5, 11.5 I should say actually. Manchester United face off against Swansea, and again he's going to walk through most players this game week, so yeah, Swansea, be wary, be scared, but also lastly we've got Gabriel Jesus. Chelsea, I feel like lacking in the attack, and probably could do with Gabriel Jesus, but they lost against Burnley. That makes no point to why he should be in the game weeks. Basically, looked good last game week, could have got a goal, unfortunately didn't, but this game week is time to shine. But let's take a more in-depth look at some of the players that I've talked about in the previous few minutes. David De Gea is the first one. The goalkeeper from Manchester United is £5.5 million. 32.1% of people selected him as of recording this video. Of course, got the clean sheet last game week. Swansea, Leicester, Stoke, Everton and Southampton in his next 5. I feel like I could get a few more clean sheets there. £5.5 million for now. It's expensive for a goalkeeper, but really good points returns indeed. Kolasinac as well is £6 million. 13.4% of people selected him. 5 points in the last game week, but of course conceding all those goals isn't going to help, and also the fact he was in a back 3 with another left back and an experienced centre back, so things need to change around there. I think they could do as well. And you've got Stoke, Liverpool, Bournemouth, Chelsea and West Brom, so a few tough games in there, a few easy games. I feel like his attacking potential against both Liverpool and Chelsea could really hurt those teams. You also got Christian Eriksen coming in. He is £9.5 million, 15.6% of people selecting him, 12 in the last game week. Chelsea, Burnley, Everton, Swansea, West Ham next game weeks. He used as well against Chelsea, so people that are doubting him, so put your faith in him because he could do really well. We've also got Mkhitaryan in there, another midfielder, £8 million. I suggested him last time, I think maybe in the differentials, but all through the week I've been talking about him, especially in the live stream as well. He looked really good, and he came to prudence, and he proved me right. First big thing correct this season. Second big thing in Kane, going Kaneless and that working. Heart rate didn't do very well though. But anyway, Mkhitaryan, Swansea, Leicester, Stoke, Everton, Southampton, as the same as David De Gea. As I said earlier, he looks really good, and I feel like could be one to consider if you're looking around that sort of price tag. Maybe even upgrading Zaha if he's injured. I'm unsure what that is at this moment in time. Also got Mooney in the attack. Huddersfield man is £6 million. 2.2% of people selected him, of course. 12 points in the last game week. Looking good the next few game weeks. Newcastle at home, Southampton at home, West Ham away, Leicester at home and Burnley away. All 5 games, see him getting a goal in. That means the first 6 games getting goals. Imagine what that do to your points, but also the price of him. You make so much money on him, you'll be able to get an extra £0.5 million for free. Easy money. And lastly, we've got Gabriel Jesus, who just didn't have the finishing touch like Kane last week, but Everton at home this week. Some good games coming up as well. I feel like Jesus is definitely one to consider. 12.3% of people selected him. He's playing up front with Aguero. 4 shots, hit the post on one of them. Looks good in his dribbles as well. Jesus, I feel like for now didn't score, but in the future definitely will hit the ground running.
Hi there, my name is JNO and I am the host of FPL Today, my YouTube channel, which you can find if you just type FPL Today into a Google search bar. Also, at JNO United is my Twitter handle where I talk FPL and a lot of other stuff like YouTube and random other football news. And I'm going to be taking on Kurtyoy's FPL 1 to 11. So my supported team, if you're a subscriber to both mine and Kurtyoy's channel, you'll know that I follow West Ham, but I support AFC Wimbledon. There's been some vlogs up of me going to AFC Wimbledon games. Also, I went to the League 2 playoff where we got promoted. So AFC Wimbledon will always be my first team, but I do also follow the Hammers. Not so good last season, of course, but moving into a big stadium, getting in some decent players this summer transfer window, there's big hopes. I'm hoping we can do better than last season. Not too sure we will though. My FPL team name, I'm pretty basic to be honest. I've just put FPL Today. I just want people to see it in my mini league and go, oh, there's JNO. I don't want to do anything fancy. I can't be bothered. I've spending too much time doing other stuff, so I'm very, very basic when it comes to my name in Fantasy Premier League. I know a lot of people put a lot of thought into it. I just want to get a really nice number and get my team up there really quickly. And my favourite FPL formation, it has to be the classic 3-4-3. 3-4-3 means you have 3 forwards in your side and 4 decent midfielders, and they're the ones that can get you the big points in the game. I know there's a lot of talk this season about 4-4-2, 3-5-2, so on and so forth. I just don't see the point in having any more than 3 defenders playing unless you really have to, because you never know how quickly a clean sheet can be wiped out by 1 goal. And my highest finish, you'll have heard me go on about it last year, was my just outside the top 10k. I came 10,083rd, which was painful. I had a really good end to the season, almost got into the top 10k, but just fell short. So this year, hopefully I will manage to get that top 10k, which has been eluding me. My favourite FPL player of all time, I think you've got to look at players like Jay Rodriguez, Aaron Ramsey, Yaya Toure, Luis Suarez, Daniel Sturridge from years gone by where they were just absolutely on fire. Jamie Vardy and Harry Kane both have fond places in my heart for the times when they were cheap budget options and came up with some really good scores, as well as Riyad Mahrez. Last season though, Joshua King was that player for me, but I think 2 seasons in a row now, when Burnley have been in the Premier League, Tom Heaton has been my bay. Now I'm not sure if he'll be my bay this year because they put his price up, and I can't afford you, Tom. It's painful, so we're gonna have to split up. Now, do I use an early wildcard? I actually do use an early wildcard. I did last season. I think once you've seen how the teams are lining up, you should take advantage of it as quickly as possible. Once you have some actual data to pick your side, you want to be getting the most points possible from the first half of the season. So yes, I will be wildcarding early. When do I use my weekly transfer? It all depends on what my strategy is. Am I trying to get my team value up? Because if I am, it's as soon as possible. But I do prefer to wait and see what happens during the week in case there's any injuries during training, any injuries during League Cup and European football games. I don't want to have to take a hit because I've brought someone in and then they're injured. So I usually wait. Team value isn't as important to me as getting those FPL points. However, later on in the season when you're playing your wild card, that team value can come in handy. So it all depends. If I see a really good option early on, I will make the transfer early, but usually I'll wait until about Thursday or Friday, which runs a risk of something happening in your life and you miss the transfer deadline, which has happened to me a few times. The next question is, what 3 footballers would I have at a dinner party? Who would they be? Now, if this includes players gone by, then I'll be calling up players like Ronaldinho, Pele. It all depends. If I can call upon players that I remember watching as a child, then it'd be the likes of Alan Shearer, it'd be the likes of David Beckham, just players that I remember idolising as a youngster. That would be really, really cool. Right now, I don't really view football players in the same light anymore, so I'd have to go old school and call up players like David Beckham, Alan Shearer. Does pineapple go on pizza? If you want it to. I used to hate it. I'm not that bothered by it anymore, so if you want it on your pizza, go ahead. Favourite stadium food? Nothing beats a good burger. And then finally, what is my current team, which got me 87 points in Game Week 1? It's currently Ben Foster in goal with Ryan Bertrand, Danilo and Davies as the three main defenders. My other defenders I don't think even started, which is Long from Burnley and Mariappa from Watford. I then have Ward-Prowse, Kevin De Bruyne, Salah, Willian and Tom Carroll as my 5 midfielders, and then I have Gabbiadini, Lukaku and Kane up front. Gabbiadini I'm thinking of shipping out already. I don't know why I even took the risk on him in Game Week 1. Anyway, thank you so much for having me on the channel, Kurt. Thank you for letting me do your FPL 1 to 11, and hopefully I'll be back at another point in the season so I can update you on my sides.
Okay, alright. Let's have a look at my team. Let's have a look at how appalling I did. And to be honest, it was looking really bad after Saturday's games, but Sunday's games saved me a bit. I ended up getting 64 points, and I could have got a lot more if it weren't for my own stupidity. I'll explain. Now, of course, De Bruyne was my captain. He was my captain because I felt like I could do really well. I was, considering Lukaku last minute, but I didn't because I thought I want to be different. I want to be different to the crowd. That really paid off, didn't it, Kurt? And also, last time I listened to people, hearing a lot of talk about people saying Cedric wouldn't start, so I benched him for Kuchunga, and I lost 3 points there as well. So I could have ended up with around 80 points, but didn't. So, yeah, I got 64 points. That's my transfers. I feel like I'm going to sit where I am. There's a few good players in there. Of course, some players let me down. Spilicueta, of course, the red card didn't really help. You got loads of clean sheet points in midfield. Carroll, Tadic, Kuchunga and De Bruyne all getting 3 points for the clean sheets. Eriksen as well getting a clean sheet, making it 5 out of 5 midfielders that got a clean sheet. But players like Davis and Eriksen, Lukaku as well, looking really good for the short term. Tadic and Kuchunga, Carroll as well, De Bruyne, Jesus, Gabbiadini, all have the chance to score points this coming game week. So I'm not worrying just yet. Still above the average by 6. So not too good, but not really bad as well. So it's bang average this week, looking to improve this coming game week. So let's have a look at our league now. At the moment, my position is outside the top 1,200. Yeah, not a good start, but my hope is that I'll improve. Made a few bad mistakes this time. This time I'm just going with my head and my gut throughout the rest of the season, not listening to anyone else. But we have got league standings, and some people scored a phenomenal points tally this season. We're going to go from 3rd to 2nd to 1st. In 3rd was Sporting there goes the ad. Sporting Lesbians FC. We have 107 points. Lukaku was a captain, big point scorer. You got Lukaku in there, you got Mkhitaryan, Firmino, you got Eriksen, you got Davis, you got Yoshida and Bertrand at the back with Foster grabbing 7. Really good game week from him, 107 points, but that wasn't the top. Somehow gone to 112 points, where we have, I can't remember his name, Neville Wears Prada, another fantastic name. Some big point scorers as well, and he even had some poor point scorers. You're looking at Zaha being in the first team. Apart from that, everyone scored some extra points. Lukaku, Firmino, Eriksen, Mkhitaryan, Pogba, Willian, Bertrand, Cedric, Davis, Foster. Fantastic points totals, which leaves him in general 267th in the world. And he also had Dawson and Vokes on the bench. No, look, that could have been even more if he would have put either of them two in for Zaha. Maybe Vokes in, easily at the top, but that wasn't the top. Because in top with America FC BRS. Scored 114 points. Absolutely phenomenal. And he had the likes of Lukaku as the captain. He had Firmino scoring, Eriksen, Salah, Willian, he had Cedric, he had Hegazi in there, which was a massive difference. Davis as well and Foster. Grabbing himself 114 points, leaving him top of most of his leagues as well. 154th in the world, 1st in the USA. So, yeah, quite a game week from him. 40 in all of Man United as well. He looks really, really good. Davis came in as an automatic sub for Darmian, thank goodness for him. But really good game week from him. And congratulations to Brian Roman, I believe you say his name is, as he tops game week 1. Now time to move on to a segment I introduced last week called Comment of the Week, where we look at a comment that I've liked from my videos. And this one I went specifically on the FPLT video, the entire big segment. And the comment of the week on this green board, or pink board I should say, which I'd just like to say, there is no comment from last week because I forgot. And I thought, it's going to take a lot of time, don't have a long time to record, so I will add him on next week. Trust me, I'll take a picture of it. Hopefully, I've done it by then. But the comment of the week does go to a account by the name of, I've just got rid of it, of Shibzaden, who says Lukaku missed a sitter today against Madrid, hoping he gets it together by West Ham's game. Now, of course, put that in there because the hoping was finally appreciated and Lukaku did get it back together, and that's why he's going to come on to the board for comment of the week for game week 2. Now, if you don't want to be on comment of the week, just leave a comment, any sort of comment, and I'll pick my favourite one out. Each game could be funny, could be insightful, could be a good tip. Get your tips down as well, and good tips will always be rewarded with a comment of the week spot. And if you are on here by the end of the season, there'll be a £25 gift prize going out to one of you in a random draw at the end of the season, so stay tuned for that. Now it's time for the captaincy picks. I've selected out 5 players, of which I believe could be a good captaincy pick this upcoming game week. For you guys maybe to ponder on. It's also got to be a decently selected size, people that have selected. Obviously, if I selected 0.2% of people all the time, might not have him. So hopefully I selected some players you do have. But Mane comes in with just under 24% of people selecting him, £9.5 million, just 6 points last game week. Looking at Firmino grabbing more, looking at Salah grabbing more. But Mane is not one to stay out limelight for long. And if those two are scoring, it's only a matter of time before Mane gets a big points return as well. And this game week against a really weakened Crystal Palace side, looks like, could be set to do it. Next up, we have Mkhitaryan of Manchester United, £8 million. 8.6% of people selected him, 11 points last game week. Of course, he faces another weakened side, or you suppose weak side earlier. And I feel like he could be getting a few more assists, maybe even a goal or two against Swansea, as Man United look to ramp up the Premier League, looking really good at the start. And I feel like Mkhitaryan could really have a good game week this coming game week. We've got some attackers now, starting off with one of the best poachers around in world football, Sergio Aguero, the Man City man, costs £11.5 million. It's quite expensive, but he's selected by just under 12% of people. A bit of a differential still, grabbed himself a goal, could be set to do it again against Everton. He just likes scoring, but if he's playing up front with Jesus, he's got a great chance of doing so, so Aguero is definitely one to look out for. We also have Alexandre Lacazette, the Arsenal man, comes in after having a goal on his debut, 6 points he grabbed, so of course no bonus points or assists because there were a lot of other goal scorers and a lot of other assisters as well, so had to be shared around a bit. I did it this week, but Lacazette looks really sharp. Arsenal face-off against Stoke away from home. Could be a great bet for your captain's armband if you got him, because I feel like he could be getting another goal or two. And lastly, we have Big Rom, who is now selected by over half the population of managers on this game. Phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Lukaku comes in 11.5 million pounds on this game. 50.4. I'm just amazed at how much he's selected by. It's due to rise, or probably has already risen last time I released this video because it's a few days later than when I record it. But 13 points gets you 2 goals, 3 bonus points, and a clean sheet as well, which doesn't really matter when you're a striker. But Lukaku, of course, goal machine, coming up against Swansea. I feel like he could eat the Swansea defenders alive as well as West Ham's one. So another 2 goals, could be happening. So there are the captaincy picks for you guys. Anyone I've missed or anyone that I've decided to look over, and who are you potentially captaining for this game week? Let me know all of that in the comment section down below as we move on to something else. And that something else being differentials. We've got some differentials coming up for you now. We are going to start off with a differential in the name of someone that doesn't actually have a name. Makes sense in my head, but it's Zanka. It's called Matthias Jorgensen, and I'm not too sure why, but his name on the game is Zanka. Now, he's a bit of a differential because selected by 2% of people, 10 points of course last game week, grabbed an assist in the very big 3-0 win, and maybe a bit of hype. Maybe thinking, oh yeah, but is he going to do that every game week? Probably not. If he's going to get a clean sheet every game week, look at his 5 fixtures, potentially. Newcastle, Southampton, West Ham, Leicester and Burnley all smell of games where they could get a clean sheet, considering Palace considered to be around the sort of standard of those teams. I feel like they could be getting a few more clean sheets there, maybe even a goal or 2, assist or 2 could be good for Zanka and his owners. Matt Ritchie then comes up at £6 million, selected by 3.6% of people. Got 1 point, not too good, but Huddersfield, West Ham, Swansea, Stoke, Brighton looks really good for Ritchie, and he looks sharp. Him along with Atsu, along with Gale, looks sharp, and that's one thing to note. It was it was an off day for Newcastle. They didn't do as well as they could have done, but that wasn't helped by Joe Shelvey getting his red card. So Richie's definitely one to consider for the future. 3.6% of people have him in his teams. Could be set to rise with a few good game weeks under his belt. Then we've got Ward-Prowse of Southampton. £5.5 million selected by 2.8% of people. He's been moved out to the right, which is a more attacking role than his central role that he would play alongside, let's say, Classy or Davis or Oriol Romeo. But the next 5 game weeks are looking really good. Barring Man United at game week 6, but they've got West Ham, Huddersfield, Watford and Crystal Palace. Then, of course, Man United game week 6. So I feel like he could be having good points returns, and he's cheap as well. So he could be one to maybe get rid of and free money up for maybe your defence or your attack elsewhere. So it could be good from him. Then we've got a really interesting one, a Brighton player. So I covered all 3 of the promoted teams. Pascal Gross comes in, £5.5 million. He's a midfielder, but from what I'm seeing, he did play rather hard at the pitch for Brighton. Now, granted, you look at Knockout on the bench, you look at Glenn Murray on the bench, who were 2 of their best players last season in the Championship. Could be set to change his position, but he looks good playing up there. Could be set to improve. Of course, playing against Man City, with your first game in the Premier League, you always not look as good as you could be. But Leicester, Watford, West Brom, Bournemouth, and Newcastle coming up could be good for him in the future. Then we've also got Mooney up front, got himself 2 goals, 12 points, £6 million. 2.2% of people have selected him. Newcastle, Southampton, West Ham, Leicester, and Burnley coming up. Could be really good for Stevie Mooney. And one to consider definitely is £6 million are cheaper options than the 6.5 or the 7 millions, or even 7.5 or 8 millions that have been suggested as a third striker. So Mooney could really be that excellent differential that helps your team with money going elsewhere. And that happens to be that for this video. Hopefully you've all enjoyed. Remember to like and comment and subscribe so you keep up to date with all the content and I know what you like and don't like. And a quick little ending note. It's basically to go on to the new segment that I did earlier on in the episode. Just don't panic. Don't panic buy. Don't panic sell. If your team is average, sit on it. Sit on it. Maybe even create a new team if need be, but sit on it. Nothing drastic is going to happen at the moment. Maybe a player's going to go up by 1 or down by 1. It's only up or down by 1. It's worth noting that. Very, very, a lot of people can generally look at it and think, you know what, I'm going to do this, or thinking, oh, he didn't score, he's out of my team. It will only take a few games for people to warm up. People like De Bruyne, Jesus, you're looking at Gabbiadini, looking at Kane, could all do bits in the next game week, and through, just scared them, you'll transfer them out of your team. So keep your head on, keep everything screwed on, don't panic, maybe even leave your free transfer to game week 2 so you can have 3 transfers for just -4. Really good option, I think, there. But don't panic is mainly the main thing. That's why I've introduced a little segment. Hopefully I'll be doing every single game week, but that, as I said, is that. Hopefully you enjoyed, and I'll see you all next week for another Kurtyoy's FPLT. Peace.